Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz left his company 7 months ago, which led many to wonder what the socially conscious executive was planning. To Schultz, Starbucks was never just a coffee shop. He saw his stores as meeting halls where customers came to chew over the great issues of the day. Is rooted in a rags to riches life. Tonight, Schultz reveals traumas he has never discussed publicly. At the age of 65, he is preparing for the greatest challenge of his life. Many believe that Schultz would run for president as a Democrat. His announcement tonight may come as a surprise.
Is there any...
He's not even a Democrat.
Is there any bigger tool than Scott Pelley?
You know, he looks like someone from Malibu's second husband, right? That's kind of my impression of him, right?
Oh my God! I don't watch TV news or TV at all. So it came as a shock that this was a person
who's been on the news for like 25 years.
just like, oh my God,
he's been around forever. So
what a just a bimbo.
It's when they say like it's like a place where people talk about like that they chew on the issues. First off, nice little like use of like food metaphor and that, but also like it's like a French salon where you have to use a bathroom code. I spent a lot of time at a Starbucks at lunch on my old daycare job. So
oh my God, yeah, where you can have any kind of opinion there, just not necessarily any kind of skin color.
Right, exactly, yeah. So when he quit, were we still in the middle of that national conversation on race?
No, I think he sewed that up in a nice button.
Yeah, exactly.
And was ready to move on.
Yeah, he's like, here's a different color cup.
Well, welcome to Seattle Sucks. We're back on the boat. We're recording. This is Colin, and I'm joined with Greg.
I'm Greg.
And we have a good friend.
Ben Udashen.
There you go.
Host of another podcast, locally produced, called Unpopular Front.
Yes, thank you.
And he's also our old roommate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was talking to Greg. It's like, so since we were roommates, like you moved to LA,
right?
And you had moved out before because you had gotten married.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this with my wife, how your wedding was the drunkest I had ever been until my wedding.
I think a lot of people can say that as well.
It's that open bar.
I was
for
like
23.
Right. Yeah.
So I was younger.
We were pretty young.
So, 24 or something.
Yeah.
An open bar at a wedding of 24-year-olds was.
Well, yeah. My wife Rachel almost got hit by a car after because she couldn't walk.
Oh, yeah. It was her wedding, though.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, everyone was drinking.
Oh my God!
And her new husband was just pointing and laughing instead of helping her to a car.
I was trying to keep her alive.
That's very important. I really should have had that on my wedding night. Actually, I ended up just ordering way too much Domino's to a fancy hotel suite that people got me for for our special night. And I was just like, I don't want room service, I want cheese pizza. And I had a fucking Domino's guy have to go up to the presidential suite. So I actually kind of felt like Trump in retrospect. That's a very Trump move.
So it was presidential.
He is very president. I'm a presidential dude.
Yeah. Not the suite, the fast food.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so there is more. I'm sorry to say, there is more to this beautiful 60 Minutes episode that I want you all to hear.
There's just something so lovely about it opening in the void, too. It's like...
Right, that's that classic 60 Minutes thing, right?
Yeah.
That's how you know they're serious.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, this is all there is.
Okay.
It's true. I've been a lifelong Democrat. I look at both parties We see extremes on both sides. Well, we are sitting today with approximately $21.5 trillion of debt. Example.
That's a big number.
Not of Republicans, but of Democrats as well, as a reckless failure of their constitutional responsibility.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And that's we don't actually need to play anything else.
No. So
and
this national debt stuff is just like such like bullshit, right? Like,
well, it's total horseshit.
Like, do you think our children's like? Do you think do you think Colin's kid's gonna give a fuck about the national debt like while like the oceans rise, like while like Idaho sort of becomes the West Coast?
Yeah. No, I don't. But it's even worse than that. Like, the entire debt conversation that we've had it's a bullshit trope that is meaningless, that deliberately misunderstands literally how fucking money works.
Right.
And it's a deliberate program to preserve the wealth of the rich. That's it. By taxing them less and keeping inflation at zero. That's all. That's all it is. It doesn't matter in any other sense. We could pay off literally any amount of debt. The number is actually irrelevant since we print fucking dollars. Like, the debt's denominated in fucking dollars, in a currency that we fucking control.
Yeah. We're not
like,
at Greece.
Right, exactly. And so it's bullshit.
I do like dolmas, though.
It's stupid that we're talking about it. I think we need to talk about it a ton because the field has been seeded utterly by the Democrats who've taken over our lifetimes, taken up that cause in this way in order to somehow to pander to Republicans, and then get just taken by Republicans who actually don't care, who know that they don't care. Like, Paul Ryan knows he doesn't care. He knows that conversation only exists for the purpose of passing massive tax cuts. That's the only reason that conversation, that this rhetorical tool exists. And so he's fine to do that and then, like, massively increase the military budget.
So why do you guys think, then, that this is the issue that someone, like... Because, like, he's a known figure, right? But it's not exactly like people are, like... outside of the people who buy, whose, like, library are just made up of books they bought at the airport. Like, besides that kind of, like, business person, like, are people Howard Schultz fans?
No.
And then he's choosing an issue that, like, normal people could care literally. Like, people, like, I bet if you poll the average American, more people care about that Alex Jones conspiracy about they're turning the frogs gay than they do about the national debt.
There's, like, but the thing is,
which is true, by the way. They are turning the frogs gay.
Howard Schultz isn't a regular person.
Exactly.
He's an isolated billionaire who gets everything he knows about the world from an insular, centrist, like, faux wonk media that has bought this line and trades on it as the height of objective centrist rationality.
Right, yes.
Because it's something that they think their pea brains can understand, and it's... So that's all you read. I mean, if your only news came from the fucking New York Times or something, you would think that is what America is up in arms about.
Yes.
And it's just horseshit, because it's not. It's a non-real thing. It's a totally made up bullshit issue. There are real implications to it. It's not like. It's a totally bad faith argument, is my point. I don't think his faith is bad here. I think he's a dummy.
He's a dumb.
He's just not that smart.
No.
He's apolitical.
Right, and he also...
The fact that he would say, I, like, support Democrats, but I would run as an independent against, like, maybe against, like, the individual who Democrats hate more than, like, any person in my entire lifetime, Donald Trump. Like...
Yeah. The
like,
politics
of
like, it...
Yeah, it's so
the
bizarre.
The racehorse of it doesn't make any sense either, but, I mean, like... You don't even have to get that far. It's not going to matter. He's not going to spoil anything.
That's true, yeah.
He's probably not going to end up running because he's just going to fucking humiliate himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, the debt thing, like... he is an avatar for an entire like class of sort of media and business people who buy just these basic lines, who, because they're apolitical, they go like, oh, whatever is the center position of the media class must be the smart, rational thing. I don't need to understand it. I just need to read like op-eds about it.
Yeah, I'm just going to read Thomas Friedman.
Right. And it's like...
Put a McDonald's in every country. Done. World peace, baby.
Yeah, he has achieved Friedman's vision.
Put a Starbucks in every country.
Yes, he has. He is the fast food king of the world. He has a fast food empire where you can get a coffee and a smile in every fucking country.
Smile.
Oh yeah,
maybe not at the
not in Seattle.
Yeah, not at the Starbucks I would go to when I was working. For sure, I don't know.
That's forbidden here, but
obviously, he's total trash. Like, he is the only good thing about
pass
all
that
this.
Bottle.
Of course, yeah, pass the bottle. The only good thing about this is he has to have paid out millions of dollars to these consultants, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like this is probably good. Although part of me wishes that these people would like all just go work for like, I don't know, like just like a fourth string Democratic nominee for, person to run for president, just to like
someone conned that guy in, is it West Virginia?
Yeah.
On exactly this con.
Jetta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of feel bad for him.
I feel really bad for that guy. The part about actually giving up his state house seat doesn't even make sense. You can run for president and still he could run again,
Yeah.
But so I feel bad for that. He's smart to have like come around and like, I think once it went live, a bunch of people went to him and said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm getting took."
Right.
But that's what's happening to Howard Schultz, right? He's got
kinda, yeah.
And that's why the centrist nonsense, right? Because if you're just a hack trying to scam this billionaire out of a ton of money and money that you can raise for him for your exorbitant consultant fees, the safest bet is, it's the classic American political safe bet of going with the centrist common wisdom, because if it fails, you can say, well, I mean, exactly. It must have been you, asshole.
Yeah, okay, so I have a few questions about centrism as a political ideology, right? Because, like, I feel like, I'm sure we're all in our own, like, lefty bubbles, but, when you hear centrist, it doesn't really mean an actual goal.
No.
Yeah. There's not, like, a vision with it. Like, I mean, some could say that's a problem with liberals. I don't know. For me, as like a, as like a Marxist third worlder, not really, but, it's just like a socialist guy. Like, when I hear that, I just think, I think that that's basically the same. But centrist, as he's like, he proclaimed himself as like, I am going to be an independent centrist, as though that's like a thing that has like a political currency or a meaning, and that's a thing that's going to get people to care. I mean, to me, that is proof that he's just being bilked, right? Like,
yeah. Well, we're going to get to more of that, though. We're going to get to more of that, though, if we keep listening to some of this horse shit. There's going to be more
smooth Scott Pelley tones.
Oh, God.
I want to see America win. I don't care if you're Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Republican. Bring me your ideas.
Bring me your ideas.
An independent person who will embrace those ideas, because I am not in any way in bed with a party.
Ugh. So did you read it? I am an independent person. That was the proclamation of his ideology. Bring me your ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's the centrist, though. I think to sort of address your question, Greg and I have talked about this at length after reading Thomas Frank's Listen Liberal.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. We have a lot of friends who are still very much of the centrist mind, even now, even today.
Who are like our age.
Who are our age, exactly our age, people that I've known basically my whole life. And I don't think that they'll change. And I think, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that it is a political viewpoint because there are true believers. And I think Howard Schultz is a true believer. And I wouldn't be so cynical as to say that he's getting taken, because I think there are probably policy experts and strategists that also believe very, very
sure. I don't think it's mutually exclusive.
No, it probably isn't, right? But it has an appeal, and I think it especially has an appeal, getting back to Thomas Frank, to professionals, because it's really so corporatist when you get down to it. Yeah. It's
get everybody in a room.
It's the mealy mouth, consult the experts. It's management, exactly. Yeah. It's about risk and not about feelings or
about risk aversion
or idea or really ideas or imagination. Yeah. It's about reality in scare quotes, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's about being practical, but not actually like the thing that bothers me. Especially like as like a leftist guy and like a guy who really strongly believes in like the idea that like we are existing, like all of these things are struggles and they're all conflicts. Mm-hmm. They're so obsessed with like finding common ground and not accepting that there's conflict that it's like they really do just believe in that, like as like MLK talked about this negative, that like this idea of negative peace. And it's less about like dealing with the struggles and acknowledging that there's inequalities, but it's basically me when my parents were fighting before they got a divorce. Like that's kind of what centrism feels like. It's like not accepting that there is an actual conflict and that things need to change, and instead being like, I just want everyone to stop fighting and I want things to be normal, and that's why professionals love it so much.
Yeah, that's a very great point.
It's a good analogy too, and especially for these times, but it's also like ultimately whatever they believe, and they'll attach the most bizarre, and it goes there here when they dare to finally identify some problems and acknowledge that there are problems. The language becomes, well, let's find ideas to figure this out.
We have a lot of ideas. You haven't been listening to them for like 100 years.
This is where it like clashes because. And where it's ultimately a con, whether everyone involved in this campaign believes it's a higher con because ultimately all you're doing and all you're really talking about is maintaining a status quo. If you're trying to, that's what you're talking about.
That's what I think you were saying, Ben.
For sure.
Yeah, and these people are in a position where they
status quo's good.
Right, they have more to lose than they think they do to gain. So
yeah.
They're just inherently against
and they're right.
No, that's definitely true. They have how many?
Howard Schultz has a lot to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Several $1 billion in his head.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move on to something else banal and bleak.
That says that over 40% of the American people don't have $400 in the bank and only a crisis away from
negative wealth. A lot of people.
Yeah. Or that 5.5 million kids in America, many of whom are African American and Latino, are not in school and not in work and don't have a chance. And 1 out of 6 people in America are food insecure. This is what I think about television.
Those grim numbers describe his own childhood.
Okay, his proletarian origins or whatever notwithstanding, like, so right there, he identifies like some real problems, but and he goes on to talk about this, but as a centrist, whatever the fuck that means, he's looking to preserve most of the status quo and find innovative little fixes, and he needs ideas, and it's like it's why Seattle, it's why this podcast like continues to be stimulating for us, because Seattle is this microcosm of like our culture and this managerial mindset.
Yeah,
because what we were saying last week, what was Brian and Mary were saying, like, it's like we're the first fucking city on Earth.
Yeah.
And it's like we're the first fucking country on Earth. Like, we need to come up with these new ideas to solve
exactly
fucking poverty and there are critiques, Howard. Critiques exist.
Yeah, I can think of a few.
It's out there, and it's not hard to understand. And all this centrist nonsense and this debt horse shit, and all the talk of needing ideas that you've been fed to say are really, really in service of obfuscating the reality, which is we just need to take your money away.
Right.
By taxation, by placing limits, by taxation on your income and wealth, placing limits on your ability to make that wealth, by taking over companies like yours and putting them in the hands of workers, and by devaluing the currency, thereby devaluing that wealth and my debt.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's debt. Honestly, just everyone's debt should go away. Except for we should just give all the debt to him. How about that? But you know what? He has the money to pay for it.
That's a great thing.
Yeah. You know? Ideas. I got an idea, guys. I got an idea.
He said no idea, big or small.
One thing that I did notice in that is he was talking about, how, like, there's a lot of kids and, there's, like, a lot of kids from, disadvantaged identity communities that, are not in school or working. And I was like, well, I have two questions. One, like, the sort of more, like, fuck everything, like, more anarcho side of me is basically saying, why do they have to work?
Right.
Why do they have to go to school?
Yeah. We're very anti-job on this
Yeah,
podcast,
I'm super anti-work. And, like,
it fucking sucks.
Like, I feel like I can say that because I have a job that I actually feel is, like, relatively positive for society for maybe, like, the first time in my life.
What's that like?
I know, it's weird. It's very odd.
It's extremely rare.
It's extremely rare.
Job like
right,
and
you're doing, like, real...
Well, it's
needed social reproduction.
Literally. Right. Yes. But, but the thing is, that's one critique at that. But also, like, he is dependent on a certain level of insecurity in those labor markets, in those disadvantaged communities, and, like, in people, like, going to school. A lot of them, because of all the debt, they need to have certain kinds of jobs, and, like, Starbucks is the kind of place you can work and do, work 20 hours a week or something, right? And, like, he's preying on that as much, yet he presents himself as, like, a socially conscious, as though he's, like, I don't know what it is. Do you guys think, like, that it's part of it is that these people know that what they have they don't deserve, and they're trying to, like, create some narrative that it's okay?
No, well, it ends up being worse because, honestly, if you know that much of America is that fucked, and you still have billions of dollars, you're better off not knowing because, like, you're more guilty as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
But this is the weird thing, I think, about people like him and people that are still really clinging to centrism is that it's essentially still a cult of the meritocracy and personal responsibility. So when he says that stat, I don't think, again, that he's critiquing the system or the status quo.
Right.
He's kind of critiquing those people.
Right. Yeah. It does sound like he's still putting the emphasis. I mean, this is a part of, like, the liberal idea and, like, like, liberal small L.
Yeah.
Oh god, I sound like such a fucking, like, political theory dork. I'm sorry, guys. Oh my god. But, like, seriously though, like, this idea that, like, he's not blaming it on systems of power. He's not blaming it on
he didn't identify any bad guys there,
any
causes,
any
villains, or any even neutral but systematic causes here. It's just these are bad things, and we need to we need ideas, but the ideas need to actually be to identify, like, the problems. He's just giving a few symptoms here.
Right.
Like, but he doesn't even know the problems yet. He's running for president, but he doesn't even know what the problems causing those symptoms are.
Like, do you think he would even know that some of these kids maybe, like, couldn't make it to a school, or that some of these kids maybe, let's say, they're, like, out of high school age, that, like, it might not seem like a lot to him, but a $500 fee for a quarter at a community college is too much for most, for a lot of people, Where's his idea on, I mean, fuck, like, I feel like the most milquetoast Democrats have come out with plans that are like there's stuff there, right? There's things he could get from people who are not Shama Sawant, you know? Like, he doesn't have to go that far. Yeah. But he can't even do that.
No, well, like, also, like, speaking of the meritocracy, I mean, like, I think we're supposed to read in a lot into this, the idea of him running, like, we're supposed to read in our general cultural, like,
American
Ubermensch worship, you know? Like, of
always fun when the Jew is the Ubermensch, by the way. Just gonna say that, guys. Always fun.
I'm glad you can have heroes.
Finally, someone like me.
But, like, these, you know, we do have this absurd worship of, you know, of these billionaires. Though, what's funny is, I think he thinks he is in this class with the tech billionaires, with your Bezos, with your Zuckerberg, with your Steve Jobs. I think he sees that going on and all the attention they get with your Elon Musk, and he just in his mind he's sitting there going, "Yep, I'm one of them. People think I'm cool just like that." It's
do you think that's just because Starbucks became big in the 90s?
No, I think it's a disease of his brain. I think he's a CEO and a billionaire, and so like he identifies with these people that he actually. First of all, like, we have spent a lot of words dispelling the myth of innovation, particularly in the case of Jeff Bezos. Yeah. But let's like allow for a moment that these class of tech billionaires like offered anything to the world. I mean, they didn't, but again, like his psychosis like goes yet another step to assume that he's a part of that. He is not the Jeff Bezos of coffee. He's the fucking Ray Kroc of caffeinated milkshakes.
Excuse me, I think Jeff Bezos is the Howard Schultz of e-retailing is what
I think he does. Honestly, I do, but in a different argument. Yes. No, he's different just metaphor. He's a guy with a fast food franchise.
Yeah.
It's true.
He sells milkshakes around the world.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was thinking about this. There's another thing with this, too, of, like, the Starbucks culture, where it's I just remember when, like, the Starbucks were coming in, because I grew up in Dallas, and it was not a thing until, you know, maybe, like, 1994, 95.
Strictly Folgers?
I don't even remember what we did. There was, like, a neighborhood coffee shop that I really liked. But it was just because my parents took me there and they had ice cream. They had Bluebell ice cream, which is, like, really good ice cream. Legit. That stuff is good. But, but like there's this aspect. I mean, it's like Starbucks is like one of the most like bougie sort of signifying brands, right? Like it signifies that like I'm a professional, or I'm like one of those people who like wakes up and rises and grinds and acts like I'm a professional, but I make $20,000 a year, you know? But like there's this aspect of it to where yes, it is just Ray Kroc, it is just milkshakes, but because it's caffeinated and because it's like coffee and because of all this presentation and because like it's green, there's this like the color, not like green, whatever that means environmentally, but like that it's like I'm being productive. I'm like a part, not just of the community, but I'm like helping the engine of capital work because I'm getting caffeinated while treating myself. So I'm gonna work harder, you know?
God damn, yeah, no, their branding is so fucking.
It's good, I have to say. Like,
it's offensive. It's driven me insane for years. Like you were saying, like he thinks of it as a Parisian salon.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's insane. It's a fucking fast food restaurant.
Right.
It was literally next to the Buffalo Wild Wings, where
it's in strip malls. Yeah. It's like it's an eyesore and a blight on America.
There's one
that
in a storage container in Ballard.
Yeah,
that makes so much sense.
No, I mean it is just a fast food restaurant. Yeah. Like they can't even. But people are blinded by somehow their brand. They have maintained this like weird quasi elevated status.
Yeah.
In the brand strata. And I think something I try to radicalize people about at work all the time is occasionally, if it's like an early morning call,
where this is going.
and
Coming on real subtle, right?
I have not had this rant on this podcast yet. Sometimes if there's an early morning call, we'll buy breakfast for everybody, and it'll be the fucking Starbucks breakfast. So like someone will put an order for the travelers for coffee, the to-go things, and get a bunch of pre-made in a factory, sealed in plastic wrappers, shipped in a refrigerator truck to a Starbucks, and for your convenience, popped in a microwave before your eyes, and out comes a hot steaming breakfast sandwich. That's what you get. That's the food they serve at Starbucks. They don't have a kitchen. They have a microwave and a factory that makes stuff sealed in a wrapper.
Oh, yeah.
And the joke of this is McDonald's breakfast is way better than that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a restaurant. I'm no, like, apologist for McDonald's, but, like, it's a fucking restaurant, and they have a kitchen. When you order, like, a sandwich with egg on it, like an Egg McMuffin, the actual Egg McMuffin, the classic, where, you know, you see, like, the white and the yolk, that's a whole egg that comes from in that McDonald's that gets cracked into a little thing. If it's a scrambled egg thing, you know, that's like a bag of scrambled eggs, like most restaurants, a lot of restaurants use. Point is, they cook your sausage patty on a fucking griddle, you know? It's food made in a kitchen, not made in a factory like you would get at the freezer aisle at the grocery store and microwave yourself at home, but they charge you $7.50 for it. And you can't get a McDonald's breakfast for the people I work with because they'll turn their fucking nose up at it.
Yes.
But you hand them McDonald's and you hand them Starbucks and they're not like, you know, they're not like happy that you're not they'd rather you catered them a breakfast. Exactly. But
it's okay.
But it's better. But they'll take it. Exactly. You know, it's like, well, it's Starbucks.
Exactly.
You know? No. Fuck, it drives me insane.
No, I have to say, I actually used to eat those all the time. I would pay for them. I'm such a piece of shit. I would pay for them. I would pay for them. I would pay money for those. But
watch them. No, you watch them take it out of the case, turn around, and put it in the microwave behind them.
My only use of Starbucks in like the past year was I haven't been there in ages because where I'm nannying the kids there isn't one, and there's like so many there's so many good like independent local coffee shops in Beacon. Hell, I would be such a fucking asshole to walk like an extra mile just to go to a Starbucks.
That's true in every neighborhood in this town. That's one of the genuinely like real things to
the bus stop or the stop. That's a good one. That's all I got.
I go over to Buy-In Bakery across the street where I often get goodies and treats for the podcast. Where actually the spring rolls tonight are from Curbside, the food truck.
All right. They're very good.
Yeah, but Buy-In Bakery, the Scandinavian bakery, they have coffee, and depending on who's making it, it's very good. I'm
noticing a pattern though, because the McDonald's and Starbucks sort of parallel is interesting with I have food in my mouth, guys. It's fine. On my podcast
sucks. You're
on my podcast I don't eat with food in my mouth that much. So but that's such a Seattle move though, right? Like that our company is going to be reheating Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwiches. But it's going to be $4. It's not $7.75, believe me, guys. I know. For the lower level, it's only $4. But that we're going to do that, but we're going to like make you feel like good. You're going to pat yourself on the back about it, you know?
And you can buy a mixtape with it.
Exactly. You can buy like the fourth Nora Jones album.
God damn, I forgot they did that shit.
Oh my god.
That was one of my favorite parts of going to Starbucks. How fucking funny it was to see what album they had.
they probably sold more records at Starbucks than they did at like all independent record stores in the country. But that might not be true. You guys
did Starbucks put Capitol Records out of business, or not Capitol? What's the
Tower? I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. But no, but like it's such a Seattle thing because like I can think of. I mean, that's basically what Amazon is. Amazon just took Walmart and just is basically the same labor kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, all of the criticisms that my very liberal New Age mom would love to say when we were driving through Texas to go to Arkansas to visit family about how, like, those people at the Walmart, you know, Walmart. We're not going to stop at Walmart. We're going to stop at Target, you know? Like, that kind of bullshit.
Because it's French.
Target. Exactly. Maybe my reading was that it's because it's red, but a little bit of that.
You read Diaper Baby?
No. I wish.
Just liberal.
Very just classic, just not classical liberal, not that kind of liberal. I'm not fucking Dave Rubin, but just that, just total libs. I mean, kind of progressive, but it's basically just on, like, criminal justice stuff because my dad was a defense attorney.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
Did he do public defense, too?
Oh, yeah. He he was just starting to do this when we were still roommates, but he actually is one of the, he was on the board for the Texas Innocence Project.
Oh, fuck.
Nice. So he's sort of like semi-retired. I would love to get him on.
If he was a Seattle...
oh my God, he would totally go on a show about...
That's someone we should get.
We should find someone like that. But.
Someone from the Defense Association. I think that's what they're called. Now I forget. It's something like that. I did an internship there in college. The Seattle one, it's called... Defenders Association? It's something like that. That's the Seattle one.
I don't know. I know a bunch
of
lawyers,
I haven't been in that building in like 10, 12 years or something.
Yeah.
But,
no, but yeah. It's that sort of, like, idea that, like, obviously I see that this brand is being, you know, is extracting wealth from the misery of the poor and is giving them, like, 0-hour contracts and is, like, making them work 38 hours a week, you know, or, like, that kind of bullshit. And you notice that, but you just sort of will, like, this is the thing that I think, in general, liberals have done a lot, where they find one bad guy, and then they're like, we're just gonna find someone who's not as bad. But I realize that that's just because that's how, like, Democrats have operated politically since, like, I don't know, the 70s?
Yeah.
Right? Like that.
Neoliberalism.
Yeah. It's the idea sort of like, again, that centrist kind of thing. So, I don't know. One question about Schultz for you guys. Do you think the reason why he's doing this and is doing the independent kind of flirtation, besides him just being, like, just a massive moron? Like, that has to be such a huge part of it, right? But,
yeah.
Do you think part of it is that they see that, like, you know, folks that, like, you know, Bernie Sanders is probably going to announce, and Elizabeth Warren is doing pretty well. Like, that there's, like, social democrats and democratic socialists, whatever the difference is, running.
This is where I think he's getting took.
Yeah.
It's because it's a dumb idea. He shouldn't do it. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, like, let's get that out of the way. So I think this is part of the pitch, is like, because he's going to ask, well, why should I come out of nowhere and do this? And I think that's the pitch he's getting is, look, these are crazy times. Mm-hmm. This is, you know, this could end up being between Bernie and Trump, and then that is the moral reason, because that's how he does think morally. He thinks he does, and
he thinks
then
morally, just not about the things that are actually moral.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's the practical thing of, like, that's the end too, you know. And so I think that it doesn't make any actual sense. So I think it's part of it's the justification for the whole thing. It's just the why him. You know, that's part of the story. Because for him to get in,
but sure, I agree with the reasoning, but I think it was honestly probably the other way around, that he believes that everyone is running around with their heads cut off, and where are all the sensible, smart people who
to line up with the politics of the American people, the silent majority.
Right, Nixon's silent majority.
No, he says that in this interview.
I know he does, but
Trump also said that too.
I mean, it's Well, that's the thing. Another thing you're reading, if your whole diet of politics is like horse shit from the New York Times, is that America is mostly very centrist and is put off by...
We're a center-right nation.
Yeah.
As I heard my entire life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's what these shitheads think. Okay.
Well, the right... The center keeps moving.
Well, when you define when a whole, like, swath of American elite define their politics as opposed to what is on the left and right... You're letting the center's gonna fucking move one way or the other.
The center will not hold.
Like
it's so obvious. Right?
It's math. Like if they're going farther to the right, the center is too. It's so fucking stupid. Okay. Next up, we've got. Let's see what this is.
Every American deserves the right to have access to quality health care. But what the Democrats are proposing is something that is as false as the wall.
Oh!
Free health care for all.
Oh, that is a bold. First of all, he uses rights language up at the top, but of course he's talking about access, which means we have that now.
Yeah.
So meaningless. Yeah. He literally just compared Medicare for all to the wall.
I mean, that's centrism incarnate, though, right?
On the basis of not being able to afford it, which again is horseshit. We can afford we can afford to go back to the moon. We could afford to do anything. We wouldn't even have to tax anyone. We don't have to raise taxes to afford Medicare for all. We should, because we should tax people's wealth.
Yeah, we should just take it from them.
The consequence
it doesn't matter what it's for, though.
Exactly. They're unrelated. They are only potentially related by one consequence, which is if we issue dollars into the economy by paying for healthcare, but without taking that much back, you could potentially cause some minor inflation. Very minor inflation.
Right.
Which would be great. We should have that to devalue this asshole's wealth.
Right, exactly.
And my debt. So, there's no downside. And that's the lie. That's why the whole conversation about money has to be obfuscated from the truth about how money works and why no one's taught that, and what the actual issues are, into this kitchen table accounting horse shit, and then this fanaticism about the debt. It's because that's what's actually at stake. It's a question of using the monetary control levers that we have, and one of them is controlling inflation by taxation and issuance of debt, which again takes money out of the economy and burns it. So compared to all the spending, the military spend, all this shit, it's all meaningless. When we spend money above what we take in taxes, they're not related. There's no bank account for what we take in taxes. You just create and destroy that money.
Yeah.
So there's not I
want that job. You just get a ton of bills and set it on fire with a flamethrower.
What do you think Steve Mnuchin does all day, man?
Exactly.
But it's not like they then, when there's
buys
deficit,
new wives from Ukraine.
It's not like when there's then a deficit, they have to issue exactly that much debt.
Right.
No. It's a whole different lever. They're looking at inflation and saying, how much debt, how enticing should we make it to buy our debt by the interest rates we offer on it? So that's just a control on inflation. That's all it is. It's fucking meaningless. In the context of, can we afford healthcare? Because we absolutely fucking can.
Well,
Don't have to issue. We don't have to increase the debt. We don't have to increase the debt. Well, just inflate. Devalue the fucking currency.
But I thought, apart from monetary policy, I thought when Bernie was floating this, there was wasn't there a progressive think tank that had crunched the numbers and it would actually be cheaper?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway?
Actually,
that's the thing.
The funny thing about at least one of those, I feel like there's so many of those that come out, right? That's what policy think tanks exist to do, but, it actually was one that was it's the Mercatus Institute, which is actually run out of, I think, George Mason, which is the hub of this sort of new conservative libertarian it's funded by the Kochs and that that group, that kind of money. So even right libertarians can't fudge it, it's beyond. It's just so funny, right? Because I was joking saying that he uses moral language, but about the things you shouldn't be moral about, because that's basically what this whole national debt conversation is, right?
Yeah.
It's this idea that it's almost like a psychological sublimation. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. I'm going to go deep. Sorry, folks. But it's like a psychological sublimation of the fact that, they know of, yes, we are leaving a catastrophe for the next generation, but it's not because of the debt. It's because of like climate change and because of like rapid inequality and because of like, you know, white, like upholding white supremacy and patriarchy. It's not about fucking. It's not about the number.
Yeah. Well, like.
Zizek snort.
Yeah, well, there are other more progressive analyses too, but basically, yes, everything that's honest comes out. Again, either he's extremely stupid and just has such a limited intake and just an unquestioning mind, like the kind of intellectual incuriosity of like a George W. Bush, that he doesn't know this, or he's being fucking dishonest because overall there's money to be saved here in terms of the amount we're actually spending as a country. It's like, it's not like if you create a new single-payer health program, you just add the cost of the federal government of that on top of what we're spending. Yeah. You actually erase everything we're spending, and I mean, it's fucking stupid.
It's completely.
But what it means is, and this is what, you know, again, centrism is just a cover for, and painting this shit as why. I mean, he compares it to the fucking wall. That's going to bite him in the ass. That is going to be
that, though. He definitely believes that.
He believes
that. But he is going to get. I mean, if nothing else, that is the thing that is just going to get shoved in his face for as long as until he hides under a rock.
Well, totally. He should know that. Also, it's incredibly popular.
Yeah, it's
on both sides of the aisle.
You would think that centrists would care about reflecting exactly the democratic will.
Yeah, but it's not. That's bullshit. All the left platform is popular. But what this is all a cover for,
and some shitty parts of the right platform are popular too.
Yeah,
like some of the racism. Sorry, guys. Sorry, go on. I'm just being a dick.
But it's a cover because all it means to save that money, to have it paid, go through the federal government, a single payer, pay for everything, pay all the doctors, healthcare free at the point of service. And the end, we as a country are spending less money. But what has happened there is something interesting, which is a transfer of wealth.
Right.
If you are not paying it out of your pocket, it's being paid by the federal government. Again, the federal government's just creating money, but in these plans, they're going to tax to do it.
Yeah.
But whether they did that or not, in the end, you are taking money out of rich people's hands, either by taxing the very wealthy to pay for that, so to speak.
Yeah.
Even though that's a bullshit construct, or you're not doing that and racking up our debt, which has no consequences, or you're not doing that either and you're just causing inflation, which again, cool. So it's just a cover for what amounts to a wealth transfer that they don't want to happen.
Yeah, but I think that's looking at it through the lens of class, and these people, I think, are looking at it more through the conservative lens. Granted, this is my own interpretation based on my own anecdotal evidence with friends, is that it's ultimately about personal responsibility, because these people are going, I work, I have a job, I have health care, these people need to work, they can't get this thing for free without contributing in some way. So they always focus on, honestly, what I have to imagine is the vast minority of people, if you're even going to grant them to make that argument.
Yeah.
And they say, well, we can't have a system that allows abuse.
Yeah.
Because they're managerial, and and really this is so it's condescending. They're obsessed with efficiency, and they are obsessed with being an expert and knowing better. They know better than we do. And
meritocracy. They deserve what they have.
Exactly.
And some people don't. And there are going to be people who don't deserve it, no matter what because they believe that about humanity.
Yeah, well, and I think that's part of the reason why they're trying to humanize Schultz with this story of rags to riches, which we've never heard of before.
Right. Yeah.
It's that, well, he's proof, again, that the system works. Yeah. That you can do this too if you work hard enough.
Well, it's at whatever level of the conversation, where however far it gets, there's always these kinds of moral arguments that the moneyed interest, in whatever way you want to look at it, can deploy. There are always people, even like useful idiots, maybe like this guy, who will deploy these arguments earnestly about personal responsibility or whatever. I mean, even when historically the issue of inflation has actually been a political issue, which it isn't now. Everyone is inflation is bad.
Yeah.
Even when it has been, then there's another level of personal responsibility horseshit where it hasn't been in this country for 100 years, but where it says like, well, inflation is immoral because it wipes away debt and that's an abuse. That's a perverse incentive that allows people to shirk their responsibility. Yeah. And also shrinks my ill-gotten wealth.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty important too.
So there's always these arguments that are always out there, and that's what class consciousness is about fighting.
Yeah, but those people aren't looking through that lens. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
no, they aren't. I blame Jean Calvin in back in the day. Yeah. Some of this, like for real. Like I think some of this stuff is like pre-capitalist. In a way.
Oh, yeah.
It shows sort of the roots of the capitalist mode of production. God, I'm sorry.
You should be.
I should be. No, seriously.
No, not at all. But that's the thing is, capital will find whatever arguments to deploy, okay? To find people and nurture those arguments because... And we know this now in the age of the internet. It's always been true that somewhere there's some asshole with every opinion. Okay, Now we know that. You can just go to Twitter and find that. But it used to be you had to like BENUDASHEN. It used to be that you had to find people like self-publishing weird tracts on the street and then find that but they always will. I mean this the example I liked to use is Ayn Rand. It's like there are cranks like her through all of history. She's just one person with that kind of weird crank ideology at that time, I'm sure. But people found she was the one. She was persistent enough to get herself out there. And the second some people caught on, they're like, "Oh, this is good. This can be."
This justifies my existence.
This can be deployed in service of capital, and so anything like that will be.
They could have found a writer who could actually write, but that's fine.
This is where it all started for the company.
Decades ago, housewares salesman Howard Schultz
They're at the market
fell for
now.
the traditions of Seattle's Pike Place market.
Yeah, I'm sure he.
They actually have him throwing fucking fish.
It's on. God, after this interview.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I
they literally went and threw the fish, which every show that comes to Seattle has to do.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, that reminds me. I gotta go pretty soon, but that reminds me of just that so much of our media and these conversations are all about these very high up, professional class managerial people, but don't forget, guys, we got the power. You see what happened in LaGuardia this weekend. Mm-hmm. I wish that had happened sooner, just for everyone involved. I traveled, internationally for my anniversary, and I mean, I guess that TSA is probably bad, right? Not bad, the employees deserve the money, but it's not super necessary. I felt fine.
Yeah.
But these workers chose to do something beyond just what they're told to do. Mm-hmm. And it instantaneously.
It was
changed.
instant.
It was within 2 hours. I was today listening to a podcast that was recorded live on that Friday, and at the start they were like, "Oh my god!" Some people are saying there's some shit going on at LaGuardia. By the end of the episode, it was the shutdown's over. It can happen that fast. There is this power, but we can't listen to people like Schultz to be the guy who is the leader for that.
Certainly not.
Yeah, obviously.
All right. Well, Howard Schultz can fuck off and die.
Yeah. There's only one first Jewish president. what's his name? Wiener. Wiener needs to come back.
Anthony Weiner.
Anthony Weiner needs to come back. Have you guys seen that documentary about him?
No.
No, I wanted to. I heard it's great.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. It's like the best political documentary I've ever seen. Because what happens is all the shit happens while they're... I mean, it's a classic, like, documentary trope, you know? But, like, you see this guy, and he is such a fucking, like, malignant narcissist in the way of he is just so blind to all of these issues.
Yeah.
And all these accusations, and he just keeps doing it. Like he's a good retail politician, and that shows how probably if you're that good of a retail politician, you're probably a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's terrifying.
Well, I will put that on my list. Tell us some other things we should check out, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned your podcast. Where do we find that?
You just go to unpopularfront.com. I got essays and stuff that I write up there, and also the podcast. At Ben Udashen on Twitter, BenUdashen, and I have to say, it's pretty exciting to see my old roomies getting into the podcast game.
Yeah,
being in the podcast.
I'm trying
game.
to tweet too.
Yeah,
we're so bad at we do not have poster mindset.
I don't really either.
I'm trying to get people
do okay.
Yeah, you recently had a slam dunk.
I know, but it was, I don't know.
You won that day. You won that day
like
that the divorce announcement came out when you were like, what did he say? Like, who gets the city council in the divorce? Yeah, that was pretty good.
Will Jeff still have visitation?
Yeah, exactly. Because we all know she gets the city council.
Yeah, with that one.
Father's rights in courts are rough.
Whoa, we got maybe we'll have you come on
I'm a socialist feminist MRA.
Yeah. We'll have you come on and talk about your MRA views another time.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, so we'll find you on Twitter. We'll listen to your podcast.
Yeah, we'll put links in the show.
Yeah.
Show
Thanks, guys.
We'll also link to our Patreon. We've got some.
We have
subscribe.
patrons.
We have some patrons.
Nice.
We have. Some
I had to, and then they canceled. So get ready.
Well, yeah.
That's awesome.
They didn't like your takes, huh?
Well, admittedly, I didn't post anything for 3 months.
Oh,
so.
that'll do it. So now we owe these people these. It's a small number. We're growing. Probably no one listened to our first 15 episodes.
We know that's not true because
not no one.
Being wonks, we have the numbers, but
I refuse to look at my numbers.
That's probably for the best.
My ego.
Yeah, but we're slowly growing. We're a baby little podcast that are slowly and steadily growing. And some people have gotten in on the ground floor. Do we have their names?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, so I think our first patron was Andrew Cargill. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then we had Alexander Lark. Thank you very much. Max Wagner. Thank you very much. And admittedly, a good friend of ours, Jason Amman.
Yeah, I was thinking about him today.
Thank you very much. The other roommate.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you to those early, before it was cool patrons.
On the ground floor.
Yeah.
That's the before it was cool level, the hipster level.
The people who just discovered Starbucks and all their big ideas they had in that atmosphere, right?
We are the fast food of podcasts. Thanks everybody.
And thank you so much, Ben, for being on the show.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, guys,
Good
for
to see you.
having me on. I'm sad I missed the episode where you talked about Jeff Bezos' dick, but I'm sure it'll come back into the news.
Yeah, we'll get to see it one day.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.